Hello everybody. Today you're going to learn how to install SuiteCRM system on your virtual private server. My name is Bastian Hammer, your go-to expert when it comes to all things CRM, marketing automation and e-commerce and sales integration. Okay, so let's go. So there are two different options on how you can install your SuiteCRM system. One is basically via a shared hosting environment via FTP and the graphical user interface. And the other method is to upload it via the command line interface and install it as you would on like a Linux server on the bash on the command line interface. And that's how we're going to do it here, because it's just more stable, because it's more reliable, because you see what's actually happening. Okay, in order to do this, I go to download and I see that the SuiteCRM version 8.5 is available. Before I start now, I want to make sure that my server is ready for 8.5. In order to do this, I'm heading over to the documentation here, documentation of SuiteCRM 8. There is a compatibility matrix, and here you can see the requirements of the software towards your server. So a couple of details that we need to make sure, need to check, is the PHP version 8.1, 8.2, and the database version. There are two, MariaDB and MySQL database. So I just want to check first the PHP minus version, and you can see 8.1 is the current one, so therefore that's fine. And there's another one with a database. So here for the database, I have my PHP MyAdmin installed, and I can see here the server version is 10.11, which fits as well. So there are options where you would install different databases on different virtual hosts, or different PHP versions based on command line or virtual host, or like PHP FPM. But if you're getting that far, most likely you have figured out already how to check this. So for me, for my VPS here, it's a pretty fairly standard setup. There's nothing really special, and therefore this is all the checks that we need to do beforehand. The next thing that I want to do is I want to download it, and I want to download it directly to my server. So I right click on download, copy the link location here in order to have this now when I'm heading over to my bash or to my shell. So now I'm first going to the correct directory. So I want to go to var www, and I want to install it here in a subfolder. And now I'm listing all my installed domains or subfolders. And as you can see here, we've got already a SuiteCRM 8.5.demo. And I'm changing into this directory. And this one should be empty. So I've already prepared this one. Same for the database. I prepared this one already as well. Therefore, I assume if you're here, then you know already how to do this. So I would skip this for this video, because it's mostly Linux admin stuff and not really part of the SuiteCRM installation. So the first thing that you need to do is now I need to download my the zip file from the website. So in order to do this, since as you can see here, we've got the www data user owning this directory, I would simply do everything as this user. So I'm executing commands as this user with sudo and then -u for the user and then the username. And what I want to do is I want to use wget with my URL here that I've got copied. So I just paste this here, and I have to enter the password, and now I can download this. So this will connect to the website, of course, download it directly here. It will take a little while because it's quite big. And now that we're ready, we can check how it looks like. So here we've got a 78 megabyte big file. Now I want to do the same thing again. I want to use sudo again with my with my web server user, and I want to use unzip on the file. And I want to unzip this file here directly into this directory, and it will deflate or unzip everything exactly how it should be looking like later on. So you can see it's running through everything which SuiteCRM has file-wise. And again, I'm listing my directory contents, and now you see this one is basically the environment, or like the whole installation. Now for the web server, don't point to here, point to the public directory. So cd public. So you should be pointing your virtual host to this directory here. So that's very important that you've got this one here. So print working directory for showing where I am currently. And here we've got an index.php, which you would be accessing later on via your browser. That's all good and fine now. So therefore I'm heading back to the root directory, which is the parent directory of the public one. And I would check the database as well. So for the database, I created this one already as well. So we've got a SuiteCRM 8.5 database. And to make it really simple, since it's like a local environment, just a virtual local environment here, and therefore I've created a user which is called this one here. So the next thing is we can simply pull up the installation guide and go through this one. So we've got the download and install this whole thing. There we've got one important thing, which is the permissions. So back to at the very first beginning when I talked about you can install SuiteCRM as well via your shared web hosting and via FTP, and uploading all the files, the extracted files via FTP, and then you have to use your FTP client to do this one here. And it could still be that the cache folder, which is later on being created, will need to be configured as well to meet these requirements here. So it's just more complicated. Therefore, I think it's much easier to do this one here. So again, I'm using my Apache user or my web server user to do this. So here I'm finding all directories and changing the permissions of the directories. And now I'm doing exactly the same thing again for the files. So again, sudo and then the web server. And here that's now for the files. So they are going to be changed to 644. Which you should not switch it to 777 or something in case something doesn't work, or in case you need to go into debugging. Check for the files, switching everything to the to 777 so that everybody can read and write and execute everything. That's not a solution. So usually this works fairly well. If it doesn't work, it must be some issue with your parent directory or something. So therefore go into debugging first instead of changing to any other file permissions and directory permissions than you've got here in the documentation. There are of course some exceptions. For instance, when your user differs, for instance here with here, if group name differs with a different username or something. So I had to do this before as well in some installations, but it's rare. So now we've got everything extracted. We've got the database ready. So basically we can try to load the index.php, which my virtual host is already pointing to. So therefore I'm refreshing this page here. And as you can see, it takes a little while. That's a good sign usually. And now I'm getting the installation wizard. Again, there are two different versions here. We can check this as well. So you've got the UI installer and you've got the CLI installer. Here, to make it usually a bit easier, I would use the UI installer because it works without any issues. If you need to do this throughout like an automatic deployment from a versioning system or something, then you can directly put this one here into a shell script and automate. So that works as well, but in order to show it nicely, and since this is probably the most common case to simply do it like this, I would follow that one here. So first of all, it asked me for the URL of my SuiteCRM instance, which is this one here. Then database user, as I said, I made it fairly insecure since it's just a local environment. It's not connected to the internet. In case you're using the standard port of your database, 3306, you can leave it open. Or in case you've got two different databases running and your second database that you want to use for a SuiteCRM system runs under a non-standard port, and then you would change this here or would enter this one here. And then I would simply enter a name, an admin username. So, and here, populate database with demo data in case you just want to play around. Then you would set this to yes, because after installation, you get right away some demo data. You see how things are looking in the CRM system, how you're maybe meant to be entering data, and you get a sense of how everything looks. If you choose no here and you just want to play around, you have to build up the data by yourself, basically. If you're intending to use this system already for production, then definitely you should choose no here, just because you don't want to have the demo data in your production system. I click on proceed. Okay, so the database hostname port is invalid. This is a bit odd. SuiteCRM. I have to double check this one now, but this one is correct. The database user, the database. The host name, of course, is wrong. Local host, sorry. So the host name is per standard local host, and the database name is correct again. So therefore, we provoked an error unintentionally. But you see, so the installation wizard checks for you usually for errors as well. So it's possible that you run into errors here. Usually the error messages are quite self-explanatory, so therefore you don't have to stumble in the dark here. But even if so, if you're running into some issues which you can't solve obviously or easily, maybe search in the forums, ask me for help, or see whether you can work with your server admin on fixing and solving those problems. So now what's happening in the background, we can check this as well. So at the moment here, the database tables are being created and they're even being filled. As you can see, accounts, we already have 50 records inside our accounts table. And that is simply the demo data which is being loaded now. And it should usually be fairly quick, as you can see. It takes only like a minute or something. So, and then I've created the first user already, which is your admin user. And I'm going to log in now with this admin user, and I should be able to see the new version of SuiteCRM 8 with the demo data pre-filled. So, as you can see, we've got my activity stream. So everything is related to me, or I'm the owner at the moment. I can see who created this, and this is all 2 minutes ago because I just imported the demo data basically. But if we check this out, you will see already inside the accounts, we've got the different demo data accounts, and inside here, we've already got something in the timeline that we can look at. We've got in the sub-panels details there we can see, okay, something happened here already. We even have assigned different users which have been created for us whilst we have been installing the demo data. So it looks fairly nice, and it worked out just like we were hoping it would. One additional thing, I want to check whether it's the correct version. So I would click here on my icon, on my user icon, and then click on About. There I can see the version 8.5. This is correct as well. Very nice. And it seems like I don't have any further issues. Everything is configured correctly. Everything loaded quickly. As you can see, it's fast, neat, usually simple, and that's most likely the outcome of an installation on your virtual private server if you have root access. So there could be differences if you don't have a root access and if it's like a managed virtual server. Maybe you've got like a ch rooted, like you have like a root environment, like a fake root environment, so to say. And then it could be possible that everything works smoothly as well if you have to install it in your own environment on like another kind of virtual host inside your own user directory. It might be a bit more difficult. I've seen this before as well. With and without problems, very hard to say without really going through the installation, because there are so many different server environments, server configurations, that it could work nicely, but it could work with issues as well. But this one, as you can see, if the server is properly configured, if it's a fairly standard setup, if you didn't change too much on the server, then it usually should be up and running within a couple of minutes. Okay, let's quickly recap. So at first, we have made sure that our server fulfills all the requirements that SuiteCRM has towards the server itself. Then we've downloaded the files, the whole package of SuiteCRM system. We extracted it. We have used the web installer to install it inside the database and on the server as it's suggested by the documentation. And after logging in, we have made sure that all the demo data looks good, that we don't have any further issues or problems inside the CRM system, and everything seems to be working smoothly. So thank you very much for watching. That's all for this video. See you next time. Bye.